What's going on, guys? I have the second issue of Battle Nexus here, and so far, it's been a lot of fun. That's about the best thing I can do because I don't think whatever goes on in the Battle Nexus is going to have any kind of ramifications in our current series or anything like that. I think this is just a bit of fun to kind of give the creators an excuse to basically take their toys and smash them together. So with that in mind, I'm kind of going along for the ride and just letting things play as they will. So to give us a quick recap of what happened in the first one, the wizard Savante, he breaks out of his imprisonment. He takes control of the Battle Nexus planet that's like kind of on its own thing outside of all the other realities and exists on its own. And we get some backstory as to how this place exists and things like that, and what it started off as, what it is currently. And we see that Savante is like captured the council that kind of watches over this area, as well as Renette. And then he goes and takes our current day, our modern interpretation from the comics of those turtles, and captures them and brings them to. And then they get reunited with Slash, who died in the previous series from the 2011 run. And then Savante tells Leo he's going to be the first turtle up. And we see that his opponent is Shredder. Now, this is not the normal Shredder we're accustomed to seeing. He's in black, white, and gray. So my understanding is this is like the very first Shredder that was ever done in the comics back in the 80s. So that is where we're at now. So let's go ahead and get started. Over here we have all of our writers, and then our artist is Ben Bishop. And it's nice to know that I don't have to butcher an artist's name. I feel so bad every time I just butcher these poor guys' names, because for the most part everybody's done a really good job, and Ben, I feel, has also done a very good job here. And here we're getting some story on Savante, and we see where he was banished to. It's just like kind of a limbo realm, and there's not a whole lot going on here. And he's been here for a very long time. You can kind of see him etching like numbers in, basically, how they do on like prison stuff, where they just like scratch in like days that they're in. And he's been in there for quite a while. All these little rubble pieces, he's got all sorts of numbers etched in. So he's been there for quite a while. He's dove more into madness and just an absolute rage as well. And then one day, a portal appears. Now, they don't explain how it's there, and I hope we do get an explanation. I really don't want it to be like something like from the Star Wars sequels, where it's like Maz Kanata, a great story for another time, and then never answers it, or like or like in The Rise of Skywalker, it's like somehow Savini returns. I'm hoping it's not something like that, and we do get some sort of explanation as to who let Savini out. But we get more explanation. Yeah. He takes over the Battle Nexus. Things that we do know, and then we cut over to our fight. And of course, like I said, it's between Leonardo and Shredder. Now, Leo knows that this is not the Shredder he's familiar with, and is trying to piece this together. However, he's like kind of hesitant to want to fight, and his fighting skills, as Shredder is quick to point out, are pretty sloppy. They're like half-hearted, and it becomes a quick one-sided fight. And he says, "Yeah, I'm not the Shredder. I'm much worse." That kind of stuff. A lot of smack talking from Shredder. His brothers look on in horror, watching Big Bro just get beaten to a pulp by like their arch nemesis. It's not a fun watch for them. And Shredder even throws some shade over at Splinter. This pisses off Leo even more, makes him sloppy, and yeah, he gets kicked in the face for his trouble. And basically, Shredder's just talking about, I'm going to destroy you, blah, 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 blah. Leo finally gets an upper hand. He throws some knives at him. Now, I know that they're not actually knives. I forget the actual name of these these knives. Uh, it's enough to, like, stun him, takes off his mask, gives a little bit of hope to his brothers here. But then Savini, he's not thrilled and decides to go ahead and cheat on Shredder's behalf. So he takes one of Leo's katanas and gives it to Shredder. Now, he's blatantly, like, cheating on behalf of Shredder. Why not just take both of them? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. But I would at this point just call it a nitpick. I guess maybe he's wanting to still be a little bit more sporting to the Turtles. But yeah, we'll see why. I mean, it's not going to matter here in a second why I'm just kind of call it a nitpick. So Shredder then says, he was chosen as the champion just because of his burning hatred for the Turtles. And they, have a small exchange of words. And then Leonardo gives kind of like a half-hearted, it looks like a half-hearted attempt at attacking Shredder. Just the overall posture, it just doesn't look like his heart's in it. Because he's kind of like leaned back in like, it just, I don't know if that's what we're supposed to take away from it, but that's certainly what it looks like from my perspective here. It just doesn't look like he's given it his all. But Shredder then exchanges a blow, and this one lands, and in a bad way. Leo's katana goes right through him. And then he just says he has been beaten. And I want to focus on those words for just a moment. He has been beaten. Not he is dead. He has been beaten. And we never... We can assume, you get a katana through your torso, you're going to die, but they never, ever, 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 ever say that he is dead. So, the brothers are horrified, and Savante is, he is very happy. He's basically saying that these are the most pathetic turtles yet. And then Savante takes away Leo's body. And this little council members, one of them's having the he's speaking his mind. He's like, this ain't right. This is horseshit and all that, and gets zapped for his trouble. Raph goes down and tries to attack Shredder, and before anything can be done, Shredder gets poofed out of there as well. And we see what I believe is the council member who's getting zapped here fall down to the ground, but Raph is turning his attention towards Savante now. And he runs up the wall. He's right there. But then Ninjara, she steps in and smacks Raph back down into the arena. And Mikey and Donnie, they break free of their restraints and go down to, aid their brother down there. Savante tells Ninjara, is like, hey, you fighting with Raph, that gives me a really good idea. And then he poof zaps those guys into a holding cell for now. So that's what we see here. And when they get there, they expect to find Leo's body. It's nowhere to be found. And what they do find is somebody who's all cloaked, and I do have an idea as to who this might be, saying, hey, you guys won't fare very well if you're already one turtle down. And they're like, how do you know we're already one turtle down? Are you working with Savante? He's like, no, we get a pretty good view from ourselves as to what's going on out there. And what this cloaked individual is telling them is like, hey, you're not the first turtles to be here. There have been many others. Savante's got no love for you guys. He wants to watch you guys suffer. And so far, no turtles have been able to win this little tournament of his. And of course, part of it is probably because Savante has fixed it. Because like we saw with the Leonardo Shredder fight. The second Leo got like just any kind of upper hand, Savante was quick to just bat him down. Like, no, 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 no. And so we do get he fills him in on like all the realities and stuff like that, and we get to see some of them. We get to see like Slash fighting, and then some of the other turtles as well. And there are two I kind of want to focus in on. We see Mikey in the, I believe it was the Cowabunga Carl mask from the TMNT movie. Why he's wearing a mask, I don't know. My only guess is we just want to show that that's the TMNT version of Mikey, and that was probably the easiest way to distinguish him, is by putting that helmet on. Otherwise, it is a huge disadvantage for him to be able to fight in that thing. And then we see Leonardo from the Michael Bay produced movies. I forget the actual director name, but everybody calls it the Michael Bay movies. And I mean, yeah. But yeah, that's him there. And then yeah, we see like Slash fighting as well, and also a close up on the eye of our cloaked individual, and that will play a factor in on who I think it is later. And then Mikey's reflecting on the fact that Slash is not only alive, but working with Savante. And, you know, he's just like, why? Why would he do this? And our cloaked individual is letting him know, is like, you know, he doesn't have a choice. You know, this is what it is. You lose, you get zapped from existence with what he then says is gnarly energy. And I'm pointing that out because, again, later, as to who I think this is. Just then, Raph gets zapped out of the holding area and into the arena, and he's, you know, it's Raph. He's hot-headed. He's just like, whatever, fuck it, let's go. You know, you want a piece of me? Let's go. Who you got for me? I'll take whoever you got. And remember, Savante was telling Ninjara that her fighting with Raph gave him an idea. And so that idea comes in the form of Alopex, Raph's ex from the previous series. And so it's going to be a lover on lover, or at least former lover. Now, I don't know if she is, like Slash had died in this series, or what's become of her. In fact, where I'm at in the series is these two are just starting to kind of express themselves, and you can tell a relationship's going to blossom out of this. So that's where I'm at with that. So I'm not surprised to know that they're like exes or whatever, because we have not seen Alopex at all in the current run. Now, I don't know if she's died or what have you, turned evil, decided maybe things just aren't working. I don't know. I have no idea, and that's fine. Again, not really relevant, I think, to this story, because I think by the time we are done with this story, by the way, I think by the time that this series is done, the whole Battle Nexus series, it's not going to have any real ramifications on our current run. You know, maybe a reference or two being put out there. Even with Leo being stabbed, I don't think that there's going to be any kind of a scar. That'd be kind of cool if it does, like, there is like a scar that he acquires from here. But I honestly think what we're kind of playing with, and I said this in my previous review, we're probably playing with kind of the 03 cartoon series when they dealt with the Battle Nexus there. We're probably dealing with similar rules there, where instead of actually dying, you're just simply eliminated, and that's that. And it sounds like Savante just kind of wants to embarrass the turtles, not necessarily kill them outright, but he wants to like punish them, and then maybe later kill them, which will then give them an opportunity to counter altogether. That's what I'm going with. Now, as far as who I think this individual is, now we see he's a little bit taller than the other turtles. We got a quick shot on his eye. Let me go back to that. A very dark green, and has a black mask on. So I think that this is Michelangelo from The Last Ronin. I do believe that that's who it is. I mean, the profile certainly fits. He seems to be bigger, a bit wider than everybody. And those who have read The Last Ronin know that he is bigger than he was with like when he was with all of his brothers, and he got a little darker skin and kind of filled out more. He's like pretty beefy in that, and some of what he's wearing seems like it could very well fit in with that. And we see he's got gloves on now. If you look at the gloves, you'll see that there's kind of like a crease right in the middle, so it kind of looks like he's got 3 digits rather than 5. And we've seen that kind of depicted in like anytime that there's like a Christmas issue or something like that, where like Mikey in particular, he likes to go play out in the snow and goof off and all that. We'll see him like wearing gloves, and it's kind of a similar pattern that they have there. And so I think what we're doing is just kind of hiding that this is the Last Ronin version of Michelangelo. Because, I mean, we are playing with all sorts of different adaptations. Like we got movie versions here. The Shredder, he comes from what looks like the early comics and stuff like that, from the 80s. So I don't think it's out of question to think that we're going to incorporate the Last Ronin as well. But yeah, that's the second issue. So far, I'm still enjoying what I have. Now, it's hard for me to really kind of grade this because it's, like I said, it's basically just us smashing all of our toys in together. And so I tend to be a lot more forgiving when it comes to that, because anytime we get into versus stuff, I'm just gonna roll with it. I've said that with the Godzilla series that we have. And that's the same with the Battle Nexus. I will kind of be more forgiving as to how we get here, just to have a good time. And so I would still call this more like a 8 to 9 out of 10. There was really nothing here that stood out as too wonky. I have some questions like how Savante gets out of his imprisonment. We do need to explain that. We can't just let that go. So I do need to know how and why he escapes. And I can't wait to get those answers. But yeah, I would only recommend this if you're okay with just it being kind of a nonsensical story. Like I said, maybe there will be some ramifications, but I really don't think that we're going to be seeing any of that. So, I mean, if you just want to kick back and watch some past iterations mix in with current iterations of the Ninja Turtles and all of their friends and enemies and all that, then yeah, give it a read. I think you'll be pretty satisfied. So far, I've been enjoying what I have. A little sad to see Leo go down already. Leo being my favorite turtle. So, but next up we have Raph finally fighting Alopex. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.